Who survives World Cup Group A? The 2026 World Cup begins here. The hosts, the underdogs, the experienced veterans, and perhaps the most underrated team in the group. Group A contains Mexico, South Africa, South Korea, and Czechia. At first glance, this looks simple. But recent form suggests something completely different. Because this group might be closer than people think. Pause. Let's break it down. Group A features Mexico, South Africa, South Korea, and Czechia. The top two qualify automatically, while third place could still advance depending on overall rankings. Mexico enters this tournament carrying something none of the others have. Pressure, because they are not only playing at home, they are opening the entire World Cup. Mexico enters Group A as co-hosts and will play multiple group matches on home soil, including in Mexico City, where altitude and crowd support become major factors. But recent form suggests this team may be harder to beat than many realize. Mexico recently defeated Australia 1-0 in a World Cup warm-up, while continuing a defensive run that has seen them concede very few goals in 2026. Their recent performances show something important. They may not score a lot, but they're becoming difficult to break down. And tournament football often rewards defensive discipline. Mexico recent trend. Strong defensive performances, home advantage, massive expectations, lower scoring than previous generations. The question isn't whether Mexico has talent. The question is whether pressure helps them or crushes them. South Africa returns to the World Cup for the first time since 2010. And many people immediately place them last. That might be a mistake. South Africa qualified after winning their qualification group and enter with relatively solid recent form. Recent form statistics show South Africa entering with multiple wins and draws in recent matches rather than repeated losses. This team may not have the biggest stars, but tournament football doesn't always reward stars. Sometimes it rewards organization. Sometimes it rewards teams willing to suffer. South Africa tends to play compact football. That makes them dangerous in groups like this. If games become open, they could struggle. If games become physical, they become a problem. South Korea may quietly be the most balanced team in Group A because they bring something extremely valuable in tournaments: consistency. South Korea enters the tournament after another strong qualification cycle and recently defeated Trinidad and Tobago 5-0 in a World Cup warm-up. In that game, Captain Son Heung-min scored twice as South Korea produced one of the strongest attacking displays among Group A teams entering the tournament. This team works. They press. They run. They stay organized. And unlike some teams that depend on emotion, South Korea depends on structure. What makes them dangerous? Tactical discipline, high work rate tournament experience, strong transitions. Their biggest advantage may be simple. They rarely beat themselves. Then there's Czechia, possibly the hardest team in the group to predict. This is Czechia's first World Cup appearance since 2006 after surviving difficult playoff matches to qualify. Their qualification path included penalty victories after draws against Ireland and Denmark. Their recent results include 2-2 versus Denmark, 1 on penalties, 2-2 versus Ireland, 1 on penalties, 6-0 versus Gibraltar, 1-0 versus San Marino, 0-0 versus Croatia. These results tell an interesting story. They don't lose often, but they also make things complicated. This is a team comfortable in ugly football, and ugly football wins tournaments. With players such as Patrick Schick and Tomáš Souček, Czechia enters with experience and physicality. The matches that decide everything: Mexico versus South Korea. This may decide first place. Mexico brings home support. South Korea brings structure. One side brings emotion. The other brings control. Czechia versus South Africa. This may quietly decide qualification, because losing this game could force either team into must-win situations later. Final prediction. So based on recent form, based on tactical balance, based on what these teams have shown recently, predicted finish 1, South Korea 2, Mexico 3, Czechia 4, South Africa. But here's what makes Group A dangerous. The margins are tiny. One upset, one mistake, one late goal, and suddenly everything changes. Who wins Group A? Are Mexico getting too much respect because they're hosts? Is South Korea being underrated? Or are we sleeping on Czechia and South Africa? Comment your predictions below. Subscribe for more.